thank you so much to all of our speakers and panelists for being here today on this very important topic that is very dear to our hearts, which is the future of education, something that we need to talk more about. And let me just really quickly share my screen with you. In One Humanity, One World, we're a social global movement. We promote world peace, and we gather these magnificent online conferences to talk with experts from all around the world to talk about what are the real solutions and what are the plans to actually make that change and the impacts. And that's why we are so lucky to have a panel of all brilliant women that are going to share with us their thoughts, their opinions, and their projects. And because all of these, ladies and gentlemen, all of these beautiful ladies do more for the world than just talking. They do the walking. So let me start by explaining why this topic is so important for us. These numbers that you can see on the screen were the numbers that shock me and make me want to do something about education, because these are numbers and statistics that you can easily Google, and regrettably, these numbers have actually grown in the past 2 years. 40% of the world population don't have access to education at all. They don't have access to education at all because there are no schools, or their government don't allow children to study due to different reasons. But to say that 40% of the world population don't have access to education at all means that we're living in a world when almost the half of humanity don't know how to read and write. And when you don't know how to read and write, you don't have any access to real knowledge. And if you don't have access to knowledge, you are doomed to a life of slavery. Why do I mean of slavery? Because slavery sounds like a very old-fashioned word, right? Like we don't have slavery anymore. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but even in the 21st century, more than 40 million people in over 48 countries are victims of modern slavery in different forms. And 71% of the total numbers of victims of slavery are women or children of different ages. That's a shocking, crazy number. 21st century, and we're talking about 40 million women and children that don't know how to read and write and that live under horrible conditions. 25 million victims of workforce that have been registered last year. Of those 25 million victims of workforce, 26% are children. And the reason why there's such a huge number of children that end up in workforce is because their parents cannot afford to send them to a school. And there's such a level of poverty that the only thing they can do is to force babies to work. And I say babies because it's as long as you are 2 years old and you can handle something, go and work. That's a horrible reality that we don't see and we don't experience in our privileged first world and first society that we live in. But I believe those are numbers we cannot ignore. That's why we decided to create a project about it, because we believe that education enlightens our world. We believe that education is the key for peace, because being educated means that you have access to not just information, but to knowledge. But being educated means that you are going to be conducted through that knowledge to actually comprehend it and becomes a wise, civilized person. We're only going to live in a world of peace if we have a wiser society. And the name of our educational project is called Humanity for Peace for that same reason. We decided to work with different educators from different backgrounds in different parts of the world to create a new holistic educational curriculum that was inclusive enough to feed everybody. And I'm literally talking about everybody. Now, this is a quick reflection. How come that we get to change our smartphones every 2 years because they get outdated? Every single year, there's a new iPhone model or a new Samsung model. I am not a great expert in technology, but every year we're changing all of our electronic devices because that's how fast the pace of technology evolution is. It's so easily to get updated. Just look how much your phone has changed over the past decade. Yet, if we take a look at our educational system, it hasn't changed in the past 2 centuries. As long as education has existed, we've been teaching the same way, the same content. And I believe that just in the past century, not even in the past century, just in the past 2 decades, we're living in a very different world. That means that we need to learn more than what we've been taught since now. That's why, to create our curriculum with our professional educators, we decided that we should build it with 3 pillars, okay, which are communication, logic, and peace values. Why is this so important? Well, if mistakes are made in languages, that can lead to confusion. If mistakes are made in logic, in mathematics, that can lead anyone to failure. But if mistakes are made in values and peace, that can lead us to our human extinction. That's how serious it is. And regrettably, living in a world where there are so many wars and crises going on, that just shows the lack of communication, logic, and peace values that have been on our education, on our entire world education. These are some of the subjects that exist in our curriculum that is underdeveloped right now. We don't have much time to go through all of them, but I will just name a few of those. For example, home peace. What is home peace on an educational curriculum? It means that not only the children are going to be taught, the parents are going to be taught. Because parents need to get involved in the education of their children. Parents need to be educated because in their generation, they didn't have the tools and knowledge that we have today. We also have, for example, emotional intelligence, mental health. That is so important, yet we're barely starting to talk about it. For example, we have culture of humanity. Culture of humanity would be translated into history, world history. It's so important to learn our history. But why do we call it culture of humanity? Because for us, it's so important to learn about different cultures without assuming that people that are different from us are our enemies. We need to learn to respect other people's cultures and learn that in history, there are no winners and there are no heroes. In a war, there's no heroes. There is people dying terribly. And we don't want to keep glorifying war in our curriculum. We don't want to keep feeding to that narrative. We want to break into it and teach children that they need to look for harmony with their surroundings, okay? Well, we have other like health and peaceful nutrition, obviously science, learning how to read and write, languages, all of that is included. But won't get much into it because there's so much more and I could keep talking for hours, but we don't have much time. Our educational curriculum will be mobile. What do I mean with this? Everybody's gonna have free access to this because it's gonna be of a worldwide access, so everybody can attend these online classes. What do we mean with this? We believe that education should be free. Education is a human right. To think that you cannot afford to be educated doesn't sound realistic to us. That's why we want to make our curriculum as accessible as possible. Now, of course, not every country has access to internet. And that's why we started our mission goal, in which we are raising $100 million for 1 million solar panel tablets. These tablets are only going to have our curriculum embedded on them. They are not going to need internet. they're going to be able to learn through them. And we want to take them to parts of the world where people don't have access to education at all because they don't have a school to go, for example. We are very lucky and very blessed, and I'm so grateful for all the foundations, organizations, and companies that have supported this project from the early beginning and that have contributed to create this curriculum and that are helping us to moving forward with it. Because together we're creating a new world of peace, a world with future-wise leaders. And future-wise leaders, should I say present, are the ones that we have in this conference. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I want to thank you all for your attention. Very thankful for that. I just wanted to give this brief introduction, just in case some of you don't know about our educational project that we've been doing for 2 years. So it's a very recent project, but we work with it with all of our hearts. Now, stop my jabbing. I'm going to introduce you to one of our panelists. She's an incredible, intelligent, and amazing woman. She's so talented. I was so lucky to meet her earlier this year at a premiere at Tribeca. Her name is Siyu Gao, and she's going to tell us about her project and a little bit of herself. Siyu, the platform is all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for giving me the opportunity to speak at this amazing conference. That was an amazing presentation that you just gave. It was so, I learned so much about it, and I feel like now I have more of an in-depth, knowledge of what you're doing, and it's really amazing, and it's really making an impact. So I hope that will be me once I'm older, but yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Ziyu, and I'm just gonna share my screen. Can everyone see this? Okay, so I want to introduce and kind of promote my nonprofit. It's called Enrich Arts, and so I'm just gonna introduce myself a little bit. Oh, yeah. Okay, introduction. So hi, my name is Ziyu. I'm originally from Singapore, but I was raised in New York City. I'm a student, I'm a filmmaker and an actor. So as a director, I've created multiple short films, expanding my creative vision and dedication. In 2022, I won the Roger Rees Award for Excellence in Acting, portrayed wide-ranging characters, numerous theater productions. So that's just a little bit about my creative background, because that's going to come into play in my nonprofit, Enrich Arts. So this summer, so very recently, I founded my nonprofit called Enrich Arts. So I'll be focusing on that today. And so I've always been constantly looking for ways to connect with my community. And I feel like through this nonprofit, I can extend my talents to those who might otherwise lack access to such resources. So I hope to embody creativity, collaboration, and community impact through my nonprofit. So what is Enrich Arts? So a lot of you might be wondering, what is it and what does it do? So Enrich Arts is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering students by providing access to free virtual classes. So a lot like Andrea was just saying, it's going to be online. It's a free class, and it's scholarships as well, and art enrichment programs. So our mission is to enable young individuals to explore the arts, discover self-expression, and foster leadership skills through volunteer instruction, youth engagement, and positive community impact. So I really hope that the volunteers who are going to be teaching the class, which is mostly student-led, so the volunteers will be students who themselves are teaching other people who are interested in the arts as well. So it's going to be a lot of my friends, people who are also wanting to take that leadership role. And I think it's very important to give this opportunity to people who want to further their leadership skills. So how did it start? So I've been an actress and filmmaker for many years. I started working at an acting school this year. As you see on the right, that's just me directing my most recent short film. We actually just finished filming yesterday. But anyways, so I started working at an acting school, and it was through this acting school that I met a young girl who who has been taking my class for a little while. So I was helping teach. I was an assistant to the acting teacher there. And she unfortunately was unable to continue the course due to financial situations of her family. And so I saw that and we were quite close. And so I spoke to her and she said like she's so determined to continue on this course and she has such a passion for it and she's so talented. But because of the financial situation of her family, she wasn't able to continue the course. And so me, like I felt so determined to do something about it and to bring this kind of education to everyone who has an interest. It's like Andrea said, it's like a basic right to be able to expand your interests and creative freedom. And so I find it so important to give accessible arts education to the younger generation, because so often I find schools, I mean, especially those with less to no funding in the arts, focus on like academics and disregard subjects like theater and arts expression. I mean, obviously academics is very important, but I find that arts and like creative expression really help students kind of expand their horizon a bit more beyond just academics. And so this will allow them to expand their interests in future opportunities and kind of like express their emotions and figure out what they want in life beyond just like math, science, and English. Our mission. So like I said, our mission is to provide access to arts education. And so our primary goal is to offer free virtual classes in various artistic disciplines. So that includes visual arts, music, dance, theater, creative writing even. Like we really aim just to like remove the barriers to those arts education. And obviously we're going to make it accessible to everyone, regardless of their financial resources or geographical location. So like it'll be over Zoom. But right now we're focused on people who do have internet access. Hopefully maybe in the future like we'll be able to expand to those who don't have the internet. But yeah, right now we'll focus on people who are able to access Zoom, and it's all free. So there's no need for anything that like you don't need to pay. You don't need referral or anything like that. All we need is your email and your name and like a parent permission and a phone number, and that's all. And you can just join. I do think it's very important for students also to have this like discipline of like every week to log on to Zoom and get in this like class that's online. So we really encourage students to stick with it and not just come in one class and then not come the rest of the week or something. So yeah, I really encourage that. Besides hands-on classes, we also hope to expand our scholarship program. So we strive to provide scholarships to deserving students, which I think everyone is deserving. So as long as you are in our class, I feel like you're able to have access to this program. So this will enable them to participate in arts enrichment programs, such as summer camps, workshops, and specialized training courses that we don't offer, because obviously it's very limited. We are online, and so if they are able to be in the scholarship program, they'll be able to have free access because it will be funded by the scholarship program to programs near them. And so like the Juilliard School or New York Film Academy, which is the school that I'm currently going to, and it's amazing. It's helped me develop my skills so much. And so these opportunities will allow students to further their skills and pursue their artistic passions outside of this class. And if they want to pursue it even more as a career, possibly even, this will help them so much. And this is kind of where like adults come in, and like the money will be from fundraising events that we will host through our online courses. So every at the end of every course, we will have a presentation, kind of like a showcase, and where we will host this online fundraising event, and then everyone who comes, if they're able to, will like donate money, and this will go to our scholarship program that will hopefully help. And then how do we aim to achieve this? So this is kind of like, we're very new, me and my team and we work tirelessly. We create course content. All the course contents that we make is based on our experience. And so I'm very experienced in like filmmaking, acting. My other friends very experienced in creative writing, dance. And so we all make our content ourselves, our courses ourselves. So because we know what kids like to do, because we are like we still learn things, so we know each other. and we know the kind of activities that we like to do. So it's easy for us to make a course and kind of teach it. So we've been working tirelessly to manage our social media as well. You can see on the right, it's kind of new. And we want an outreach, and we create a plan that can allow easy access to our information and spread the word. Hopefully in the future, I will be partnering with schools in my area or in other areas who have students interested in pursuing an interest in the arts, but they don't have that in their school. And so hopefully we'll be getting in contact with that, as well as like talent searching. So for training in the arts, so like talents who like don't who can't afford classes, who are specialized in their artistic passion. So maybe we'll get in contact with them. And you can help by following our Instagram and kind of spreading the word. And so the Instagram is just at Enrich Arts, which you can see on the right. So yeah, thank you so much. That's the end of my presentation. Major thank you to Andrea for giving me this platform to raise awareness and promote Enrich Arts. It's something I'm so passionate about, and it has made a huge difference in my life. Like if I never had access to education, I never would have discovered this passion. So thank you so much. And you can follow Enrich Arts or my Instagram, and you can DM me or shoot me an email if you have any questions. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I just want to say that people don't realize how important it is for young people to get involved in their communities, because these things have a major impact on other people's life, on other people's future. And like, for example, I don't know if you were all aware of this, but Adolf Hitler dreamed to be an artist. He was rejected from the art school. And became the dictator we know. So believe it or not, it's so important to learn art, because that helps us connect with our souls, and to have access to that, and how much you're helping your community, and how you gather so many young people to make an impact. It's admirable. You're such an amazing example. So thank you for that. And I would love to move to our next speaker, which we're so honored to have, Miss Ritu Chopra. I met her thanks to a common friend, Sunil. But Ritu Chopra is such an amazing woman, so wise. I don't know if there is something she doesn't know or doesn't do. She's a technologist. She's an author of many books. She's an executive coach. But instead of me talking about it, I would love to just give her this platform to her. Please enlighten us, Ritu. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and the panelists, for having be part of this. And my apologies. I am under the influence of flu, being remotely, I'm able to participate. However, my voice is not the best today, but I'm sure that I can speak well enough to present my point. First of all, I want to acknowledge both you and Zio, what you have talked about, the humanity for peace, the literacy, which are three pillars of communication, peace, and logic. And I, as technologist, I'm a logical person. There's the other side of my brain. So there's a left and a right. So I have a complete balance of that. I'm an artist also. My first book title was Art of Life. So art to me is everything. Your communication is art. Even everything that you do comes in an artistic form, the way you know it. So I see that from that how we present ourselves, how we communicate, how we connect to the outer world, our inner circle. This is all as an art that if we had a little bit more insights to in our forming years, we would know it better. So anyway, moving on to what I do, I wear many hats. For most part of my professional career, for 25 some years, I'm a technologist in data privacy, cybersecurity space. And I learned a lot being in Fortune 500 companies. As a consultant, I had worked with many, many different companies. So solving problems and in a different perspective, in a different large organization. What I like to say, I learned the best of the best that business world can offer you. But my heart was in some other place in my mind. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I am a creative person. Like you, Ziyu, you did the films and things as a passion of yours. But I had a unique opportunity in my life where I call my award-winning documentaries as a healing project. So, being a technologist, I like to say a technologist runaway filmmaker. I won national, international awards, and I applied strategies. They were outside of conventional. So I heard from my mentors, it takes in Hollywood, these were the datas, it takes 200 hours of work to create 1 minute of finished film. So I worked with a retired Harvard law school videographer and to create my documentary. So our records, so we had our coded Excels. So we created 1 hour of film in 40 hours. So the creativity that I brought to, because I am a thinker, and okay, you don't have to settle to something. I do not defy or say it's wrong. Because those are commercial films. So anyway, this was a healing project. So I had limited funds out of my pocket. Fast forward, and this film won many regional, national, international awards. So I was advised to set up a nonprofit for women empowerment, gender-based violence, etc. So I have a nonprofit, and I learned a lot in that area as well, how to run a nonprofit. What I found was that there is so much pain and suffering, even if we do little part, what we can to contribute to uplift the life is worthwhile. So I did my part, and my heart and passion at the stage in life that I am is writing, speaking, and mentoring. And my most recent this year, my book, Women Leadership in 21st Century, Raising Conscious Leaders of Tomorrow, because I find that under the influence of artificial intelligence, our education system is disrupted. As Andrea was saying, that there is so much slavery, and most of it is women and girls and young children. Those are the forming years. An educated mother and an empowered woman empowers the entire family. So it's not a kind of a competition thing or a buzzwords of women empowerment. I take it seriously. It's very important to empower women because they empower the entire family. It's not about how much money they bring it to, but it's the contribution they make in upbringing young children, strengthen them, give them values to be great citizens. And what I have been recently inside this book and outside the work I do, I had been focusing a lot on the conscious leaders of tomorrow are going to need very different leadership skills than the leaders of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. As you see the timeless leadership that came out of from those eras is no longer going to be applicable entirely in its entirety for the coming 15 to 20 years. Reason, because we are facing very different challenges, not the same as the challenges of 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Our challenges are very different. Environmental injustice, social injustice, gender equalities issue, global health, equanimity, AI, innovation, wars, and lack of education, lack of resources. Environmental threats, we can choose to ignore them as much as we want, but they're real. If we start paying attention to how it's going to disrupt our lives, either in a little bit or a stronger way, it depends where you are located and how much resources you have to replace yourself. But those are real challenges, and that's why I say that the leaders of tomorrow need a very different skill sets than leaders of the past. So I talk about a lot in the book, but I am not here to talk about the book. It's the issues that I have talked about here. I think, as Ziyu is saying, and Andrea, you're very young, you are understanding and seeing the issues that exist and bringing them forward. I admire you to raise those voices, and we need more and more, and to keep that momentum, because even if it has a little bit impact, there is ripple effects. And finally, those get heard. And it's not that everyone is immune to them. People realize it, but someone has to take the lead and start it. So I really admire the young leaders that they come forward and raise those issues, and I support them however I can. And I can go on and on, but I think as coming back to your point, Andrea, as you're saying, culture of humanity, I could talk all day on that. The culture of humanity is, I talk in my book, Vasudha Kutumbakam, that's a Sanskrit phrase, which is Earth is a family. Never in the history of the world it has become more important than today. We have in the palms of our hand the devices that can connect us to the other part of the planets, to the unknown people. We spent more hours with our colleagues across the world. We spend 8-10 hours. We don't even spend that much time with our family. We get to know those colleagues. We have some sort of empathy or connection with them because we spend so much time. So that phrase seems more not just in a philosophical ways, but in very practical ways. I talk about Ubuntu. Ubuntu is an African term that Nelson Mandela talked so much. I am because we are. That is that essence of humanity. We are here because the others are there. We are not for ourselves. So I think those kind of ideas, those cultural phrases that become so important in today's environment. Finally, I don't want to take up all the time, but I want to talk about artificial intelligence a little bit. There's always pros and cons of the technology. But this technology, the generative AI, is nothing but disruptive in many, many ways. I like the ideas of non-invasive surgeries by robotics. I like so many other things that AI can do in all different spaces of our lives. But it has disrupted a lifestyle of people, jobs, learning capabilities. People don't need to remember anything. On the palms of the hand, they know that it's there for them when they want to. So there is a danger of human ingenuity and learning because of dependency on them. So if our young leaders of tomorrow who are going to take up new challenges and they're depending on AI is bias. AI data is bias. There is nothing about cultures of the world or the humanity. It's biased by the companies who own those AI tools at the moment. We need to educate ourselves because that's not working in terms of humanity. It's working in terms of few companies who hold those platforms. So there's a lot to learn, and I think these kinds of platforms give us an opportunity to talk about, come together, educate each other, learn from each other. So there's a wonderful way to share our ideas. And finally, I would like to congratulate you for 1 million solar power tablets. I think this would be very well received because there's so much need that the people, especially the young children, don't have internet or ways to go to school or have access to education. All of that I heard so far, I'm so pleased to hear that. So with all that said, I would just say that if there are any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much for your wise insight and words, Ms. Ritu. We have questions and answers time at the end, so that would be wonderful. I loved so many things that you said, but just a short comment. I don't believe that the internet determines education in people, because Google is not going to make you wise. There's a huge difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Our smartphones and Google only provide us information, which is amazing. That doesn't mean it's knowledge. That doesn't mean you're going to comprehend it and become a wiser person or a future good leader. But let's move it on to someone that I met on a marvelous mental health conference, Dr. Pallavi Patel. She's an incredible professional therapist. She works on her own charity called Steps to Success, and she does so many beautiful things and projects to create change not only on her community but the world. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Pallavi. The platform is all yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure, I must say, hearing both of our speakers here, Zeyu and Ritu, amazing. And as I congratulate you, Andrea, for this really taking the step further, the future of education, a great topic. So let me start with, when you ask someone why the education is important, the answer comes out for the better life. So we can make more money, we can have a quality life, we can have a good job, we can have a prestige and fame in the society. That's a very common answer. And obviously to gain the knowledge, that's the base for the education, correct? However, it is very important, and we forget sometimes that the proper and good education is more important than just having an education or anything. And how do we do that? Proper and good education, why it's important? Because that is something that will create a person, a character, and with the values. And that's what you need in today's society. Because without that, no matter what degrees even we have it, we are not going to be able to use that for the proper use to help the society. So I always a big fan of good education, proper education, follow your passion. Because if you enjoy doing something, you're going to make a positive impact in the society. Because that you are doing something from your heart. Just to having a degree, wonderful. But with that degree, follow your career path where something that you will be using for the society in the future. At a young age, I was very fortunate. I came here at the age of 20 in the United States. I did volunteering work in an occupational therapy department and physical therapy department, not knowing neither of these professions what people do. However, I loved what occupational therapists offer to their patients. And I found this passion, I found this career at the early stage. So that becomes my passion, that becomes my goal for future. Practicing for 20 years, it's not easy. A lot of times I get the comments, are you not burned out doing the same job? And my answer is that no. I work 6 days a week just because I love what I do. I know it's a job for money, but this is my passion. I found a job, I found a career where what I wanted to do. Everyone, I feel like they need to have a purpose for their life. I always wanted to make a change in the society. I always wanted to help, whatever I can help. It could be a small help to others, or it could be a bigger help. And by going into this profession, it really changed. It really shaped me who I am right now. So talking about that, sometimes we often forget that changing others is not easy. In order to change others, we have to see that change on ourselves. We need to create that change surrounding us first, correct? So as an occupational therapist, in my daily practice, as Ritu said, it's very important to empower. Empowerment is the big thing. I'm all about the empowerment, all about educating. Small thing, big thing, anything can you achieve by empowering people. You need those empathic, sympathetic words to kind of like motivate the individuals that you are surrounded with. As a practitioner, as an occupational therapist, I deal with various cultures. When we talk about the culture, it's not about what they eat or where they're from or how they dress. It's everything, how they talk, how they interpret the information, how they perceive the information. It's all about the culture. As an occupational therapist, we are very lucky. We are in the profession that we take such a big role to provide the services in a culturally sensitive method. And that is something that I feel is very important in today's world in order to gain that peace. In today's society, you need to understand others. You can't help someone if you don't have that eyes to see or ears to hear what other has to offer. We are so quick, I think nowadays, to make a judgment by looking the people, by seeing their social economic status, by seeing how they are dressing. You just make a quick judgment. And that's where we are creating a bigger problems overall. So I feel like I'm very lucky, as I said, as an occupational therapy, being in this professional, we use a client-centered approach. So when the patient comes, instead of asking, what's the matter? We ask them, what is matter to you? That helps us to treat them better. And when you see the patient is being seen as a client-centered approach, that really gives them a faith and confidence on you. It's a really unique approach, but it really helps it really plays a role in conflict resolution and improving your relationships. And I feel like creating a peace around us, creating a relationships, positive relationships, it's very, very important. Without that, you're not going any further. And as an occupational therapist, we also use various strategies and methods to build these positive relationships. So I feel as a clinician, I'm also an educator because that's what I'm teaching. So playing a role as an educator, it's amazing because when you are an educator, you are not just only teaching, but you are also learning from them. You have to also always receptive to learn from others. Education is both ways, like you teaching, but you're also learning. So I work with the special need populations. So those populations that I work with, you can imagine those parents, especially if those mothers. In today's society, seeing no matter where you go, woman has the most responsibilities. We all have to agree on that. At the end of the day, whether you are a doctor, professional, what position you held in a society, at the end of the day, you are in charge of the household chores. You have all the responsibility and put your house together. So I feel like when I'm working with the children and my little patients, most important job I'm doing is I'm educating and empowering those parents and caregivers, those moms that seeing other families hanging out with their children, going to the social gatherings, they don't have that opportunity because their priority is different. Even having education in their hand, there are so many parents, they have a degree. They have a degree in a certain professions. They cannot work because child raising becomes a first job for them. It is expected that they do this work and they are the one who is taking primary care. And I always feel like raising a child is one of the most hardest tasks that I feel it is. And in that, if you have a child with a special need, it makes it even more difficult for those families and parents. If the family, especially if the mom is a single mom, if there is no education in the house, there is no stability of the job, it even makes it more and more and more difficult. It creates a lot of problems to being isolated by others because they are not able to join what others are enjoying and joining it. So that's where the education comes. As a professional, as a part of the society, no matter which profession you are, you always have to have that heart to help others. You will be able to even help one person by showing them the right way or helping them. What we do it in our profession, and I will quickly, I know I said, Andrea, that I will be not sharing a screen share, but I do have a screen share that I would like to share. And this will show you some of the work that we do. This is the place. So as an occupational therapist, this is our website, Steps to Success, Occupational Therapy. And our mission for the practice is to help each and every individual, because we do believe everyone has a unique ability to achieve their full potential. It is committed to create a positive environment so each individual can achieve their goals. During the COVID-19, helping others, I took a small steps to create a resources sections where you can see, I mean, Andrea can see, this is all Spanish handouts. We have created handouts on different educational topics. The reason of creating this different educational topics handout was we wanted the parents and caregiver to take an initiative to learn. Those parents that who are staying in the house and not familiar about the topics of what we do or the children's deficits, this is our way to promote the education. This is our way to provide the free education. As we all agreed upon, education is important, but we are not getting that education. First of all, the cost. It is expensive. A lot of children today, even they are, or a lot of youth, they are starting working because they are not able to afford the education. The loan amount is significant. Making money becomes the utmost priority for them to pay their bills. So one of the steps that we are taking in this our practice is creating an environment where anyone can come and receive that help they need it to be. Even for the consultation, we have a YouTube channels also where we are also keeping in consideration for different languages. We are creating videos in different languages to promote the educational materials, health and wellness. Another practice that I do on the side is I'm a wellness coach. So that also helps for the young youth adults. And as we were talking about, and even Ritu mentioned, it's very important to involve the youth because they are the future. So having a youth, having that fresh brain coming into and helping, that really will make a lot of difference. So I know we don't have too much of the time, but I want to share this. So having an education, I feel why the education plays an important role, because education will bring a knowledge and that will bring a confidence. No matter who you are, you will see the person is very confident when they have a knowledge about the topics, what they are delivering it to. And that confidence will make you feel a sense of accomplishment, that you're accomplishing something. And at the end, when you're feeling that inclusive name, accomplishment, that's where the peace comes. So if we want to see a peace and we want to see as an education to help us, we need to create an environment that education is not just for obtaining a higher degrees, but it also has the core values of helping others, creating an impact on the society, sharing your knowledge, follow your passion, no matter what you do, teaching the non-violence, being grounded, that value you want to see, tolerance, acceptance to the diversity, spirituality, love, all this cannot be seen individually because you won't be able to pick up anything with the one finger or two finger. But when you put together everything, that's the power. And that's how you'll be going it. So I think this is an amazing topic. I mean, it's really a privilege to talk about this topic. There's a lot more to talk about it, but learning from each one, all of you individual there, I think this is something definitely, Andrea, we can talk more about it. But again, creating a change, it starts wherever you feel it. So it is now a time to everyone take a step and go more further and make an impact in the society. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Dr. Pallavi. Thank you so much. And you said something that reminded me to one of my favorite icons of history. Mahatma Gandhi used to say, "Be the change you want to see in the world." because that would teach you compassion. And in you, it starts a change. When you become the change, there's already a huge change in the world, and people don't realize the power oneself has. Now, we still have another speaker, Miss Maria Tran. I should introduce her as the celebrity she is. She is a producer, a filmmaker, and an actress, but also an educator. Right now, she has a series going on Paramount Plus. And I was so lucky to meet her at the Urban Action Film Festival and see her movie and her screen right there. We had a wonderful conversation on education because she teaches children how to deal with their emotions through martial arts and non-violence, which sounds curious, right? Yet, when you learn emotional control, you can really show the arts in the martial and not violence.
Hi, my name is Maria Tran, and I just want to express first off my heartfelt gratitude for being invited to this conference to discuss and share some of the work that I do when it comes to it being in the intersection of education, peace, and social justice. And for me, it serves as an important reminder that we do live in a world where there is still so much inequities, injustice, human slavery, trafficking that is going on. And for us to be on a panel to discuss it, I think there is still some level of privilege in there. So I really value this moment to be able to share as well as reflect on my journey and practice and be able to create and generate more dialogue and knowledge in this area. So a little bit about myself. So I'm a filmmaker, an actor, as well as a community arts activist in various capacities, depending on projects that come to me or I create. There is always the work that I do, there's always a level of finding the authenticity in those areas. And I've been in this field for probably about 15 years plus. I started off as studying a Bachelor of Psychology, and then I moved on to community arts as a project coordinator, but not only that, teaching outreach communities in empowering them with skills in digital arts, as well as filmmaking and acting. And of course, in essence to that, I'm also a practitioner. And I do believe that if we're going to fight this fight or go down this trajectory, that anyone who do sort of talk about these issues, we do also are practicing what we preach. We're practitioners, we actually are grassroots, and we really do understand, or at least try to find ways to really get down to the bottom and understand why issues and why things occur. So for me, working as a filmmaker, I've been in the realm of documentaries. Action films is a big thing because that's sort of the thing that I feel like there's been a demand for on the outside of me. So I've done various action films in front and behind the camera in various countries, Australia, Vietnam, China. And of course, in terms of acting, I've done theatre, but the most recent thing was on Australian TV, such as Paramount Plus crime drama, Last King of the Cross, where I fulfilled my role as Madame Tien, playing alongside the greats in terms of acting, such as Tim Roth and so forth. But in essence, I do work from project to project and paycheck to paycheck. And I have to tell you, it is very difficult and at times challenging, but most rewarding because I get to maintain my independent spirit as an artist, as someone who acknowledges that we are on this planet with very limited time, and what we do with that time, or how do we react within the time and space and the resources that we have, is still on us. And I do really push for humans everywhere to find ways to find their inner responsibility or their inner locus of control, that the fact that they can still be a change maker in whatever circumstances they are, whether they're up there with a lot of resources or not having anything at all. But there is always an element of being able to create change. And I think the more of us are activated and more aware of that, we will be able to create a better place. That's one of my hypotheses anyway. So, but independent thought is a very important thing. I feel that if humans, people tend to defer that to others or to a body, a corporate sector, any groups or whatever, then losing that autonomy can create chaos, I would say mass chaos within people, and all sorts of problems. So it's very important to have that independent thought as a human being. For me, working in the media, film and television sector is, I would say, not a very easy trajectory. We know how important and how influential media is in terms of shaping how humans, how people, how governments, how policies impose on individuals and families and how they live and operate. So therefore, I've made it as one of my life goals to tackle that and to be able to be very refined and good in that aspect. So for example, for me, working as an actor and acting, you be on screen, people see you. So therefore, when people look at you and they ask you questions, it's important that we as actors have more insight and also more understanding of a big picture of how the world is and how we can respond to that rather than just looking inner, because a lot of times we think, actors are quite arrogant, they're all about themselves and all that, but I want to be able to change that. And I do that in the martial arts action genre, which is a very male dominated sort of branch. And I do action choreography as well. I do design fight scenes. I've got my own film production company led by women. And the reason why I did that was because I felt that women didn't quite have the voice to and the freedom to express themselves without being ostracized or without being judged or without the fear of, if they were to contribute, that someone's going to undermine them or question them or challenge them. So that's why I made my film production company called Phoenix Eye several years ago, which is in Australia now, also in the US. As well as women do have a particular way of looking at the world that I feel like sometimes it is unrecognized. And we need a platform to be able to creatively explore that. So that's one of the things that I do, having a film production company, and of course having to work with corporates, businesses, and in that sector, and understanding those challenges when it comes to artists working in those sectors. So again, it's one of those things, having to juggle and having to always have your finger on the pulse of what is going on in the world. And if there are things coming to you, they can see the challenges, you can see people's fears, it's also coming from somewhere. And it's important for us to explore that. And that's my acting side. I love being able to understand and also explore where trauma, where tension comes from. And I introspect quite a lot internally, and I always wondered why there is so much wars, tension, hatred, otherness in the world. And one of my hypotheses is that the fact that if a human being cannot process themselves in the present and just be, and if their attention is either placed on the past, which a lot of times creates anxiety as an emotion and as anxiety, and if their focus is just on the future, there would be fear, or there'll be a certain anticipation and expectation or something that might not be fulfilled, which again will create that void of unhappiness or tension or discomfort. And again, what do you do with that? You then go try to find ways to fix it and remedy it by buying more things and chasing more things and by competition and all of that, right? Because a lot of times I find that whenever people are not content with themselves, there is a sense of built-in tension that becomes aggression, that then becomes projected out into the world, out into other people who are often seen as oppressed or marginalized or having less. And it happens, and when there's more people like that come together, become a group, and then they're able to say that it's okay to do such things to particular groups and people and so forth. So that's why it's so important that for me as an actor, I highly encourage everyone to start to look within for their inner voice and how they are feeling. First off, in their bodies, because that's what we've got, right? That's the thing we have at the moment, our bodies. How are we feeling about our bodies, ourselves? And from there onwards, through that acknowledgement of how we're feeling, also realize that there is knowledge that we can see that is reflected in the world. Definitely love to know more about not only the other panelists, but also our audiences, how you are feeling, how you are responding to this material, because remember, your inner processing and how you feel, how you think, but more so how does your heart beat is important, and it will pave the way for change. Thank you.
Well, that was Maria's speech, and I'm very thankful that she shared with us her experience. We talk a lot about women and the essential role we play in society. You know, in One Humanity, One World, one of the first things we ever talk about is how humanity is one big family. We're all one human race. Despite your background, despite where you were born, despite your beliefs and religions, we're all one human race. That's why we're one big family. And nothing builds the family as a mother. And I love that Dr. Pallavi Patel mentioned how being a mother is one of the greatest tasks. I think it's the hardest one ever. I am not a mother, so I am talking from ignorance, but I was raised by a single mother of 3 children. 3 children, not a lot to handle. And I owe everything to my mother. Mom, I know you're watching this because she's always supporting all of these conferences. I owe everything to the woman that is my mother for raising me the way she raised me, not just to learn different languages and go to a cool school, but to teach me to be a good human being, a compassionate person that cares about the planet, that cares about others. And I find it so inspiring to listen to women like you. You're all from different backgrounds, from different ethnicities, from different cultures. We even speak different languages, and we're so lucky to being able to communicate and talk about this important issue and contribute to this. You're also inspiring, and I would love to still introduce to the magnificent Yoma Tamang. I was very lucky to meet Yoma at a United Nations event, which was the Peace Initiative for Bhutan. Bhutan, that is a nation that has suffered a lot, like many other nations. But Yoma is a young woman that is so determined to help her community, her people, and use her voice to help the voiceless. And I loved all of you to listen to her speech, so I will pass it over to her.
Thank you, Andrea, for having me, and thank you all for joining this virtual gathering organized by One Humanity, One World. So today I stand before you not only as a Temple University graduate with a degree in political science, but as a dedicated advocate for community empowerment and grassroots initiatives. So my journey as a first-generation Nepali has fueled my commitment to driving social change. Growing up in an immigrant household, the significance of community building was ingrained in me from a young age. It wasn't just about acquiring knowledge. Education sort of became a beacon of hope, a pathway to empowerment, providing guidance in a world that often felt overwhelming. So education for me was not only a solitary pursuit, it was a shared effort within my family, a cornerstone of our dreams and aspirations. My parents, like many immigrants, sacrificed and toiled, recognizing the value as a means to secure a brighter future. Their unwavering commitment, working 7 days a week, transcended generations. It was often hard to see them work 7 days a week, but it gave me more motivation and pressure to be able to provide them the same, to give them the same opportunity that they have given to me. So, as a first-generation immigrant, education was more than a personal advancement. It was a bridge between cultures, a passport to understanding and assimilating into a new society. So from a young age, organizations like Adhikar, which is located in Queens, New York City, was a building ground for me. A place to not only learn English, but a place that was sacred and safe for all. My mom created lifetime friendships and connections, and so did I. It became a place where we can call home away from home. As cliche as it sounds, it was a home for us. We would go every weekend and we would be able to learn and we would be able to know our rights, but also it gave an outlet for community building, for empowerment as well. So it empowered me to navigate the complexities of a foreign land, allowing me not just to accumulate facts and figures, but to articulate my thoughts, share experiences with others, and contribute meaningfully to the community that embraced me and my family. The support I received from my community during this educational journey was invaluable, and I definitely have to address it in this speech, just because community building is such a big part of me still to this day and has been since I have come to America. And I just want to say this extends beyond the immigrant experience or immigrants. Building power in communities is a universal need, providing not only support, but also a safe space for diverse ideas, essential for progress to begin as well. So education, I've learned, is not just about acquiring information. It is a tool for empowerment, a means to uplift communities and creating lasting changes that are meaningful. This realization is one of the many reasons I decided to pursue a degree in political science and embark on the path of advocacy and community organizing, not just for my community, but for everyone in general. I saw it as my duty to contribute to providing the newer generation with even greater privilege and access to resources than what I had. The resources I've seen are indeed available to us. It is the accessibility that possesses a critical question. You know, in a world full of information, opportunities, and knowledge, I feel that ensuring accessibility to education becomes imperative in every single way possible. Education, in its truest form, we can all agree, is a vehicle for empowerment. It equips individuals to not only with knowledge, but with the tools to critically engage with world, fostering a sense of agency and autonomy, as well as responsibility to be civically oriented. and to be a sort of citizen or a person that has a sense of way with the world, to be able to have that education and knowledge. So as I navigated the academic landscape, I recognized that the benefits of education were not meant to be exclusive. Rather, they should be accessible to all, irrespective of background or circumstances or age or anything. The path I chose, one of advocacy and community organizing, is, as you can see in the belief, is rooted in the belief that education should not be a privilege for a select few. It should be a right, accessible to every human who aspires to learn and grow. It is a belief grounded in this understanding that diverse perspectives and ideas are essential for progress, and education is the sort of connecting point through this which we can achieve this. So we can all agree education as a human right is a cornerstone of a just society. It allows for potential within individuals and communities, and it also realizes and gives us a potential to reshape our educational systems to truly reflect the changing world around us. And especially with the 21st century learner, with social media, with TikTok, Instagram, and so many other outlets that we often didn't have, the older generation did not have, we must commit to a changing world. We must be able to grasp information, but also be able to discern between misinformation and information, and to be able to provide that in a more wise and knowledgeable way. And I want to begin by saying that in my role as an organizer at 603 Forward, I've witnessed the transformative power of community organizing and grassroots initiatives. Through political literacy, we can seek practical solutions, empowering individuals to take meaningful actions in their communities. I've seen that building power in our communities is not an abstract idea. It is a practical necessity. When we talk about accessibility to education, especially in the context of politics, we must recognize that it is not only about providing information, it is about creating an environment where individuals feel empowered to participate actively in the democratic process. It is about dismantling barriers that prevent individuals from engaging with political discourse. It is about taking up space. It is about having that knowledge being accessible to you. So when we talk about accessibility to education and politics, we're talking about creating pathways for individuals to not only understand political systems, but also to actively participate in shaping them. It is about demystifying complex political processes, making them accessible to the everyday person, and ensuring that everyone has a voice in the decisions that affect their lives. That, the food we eat, the roads that we drive in, the water that we drink, we should be able to make those decisions. We should be able to have a voice, and we should have control of them. So these platforms not only provide outlets and resources, but also create spaces for diverse ideas to flourish. Like I've said, building power in our communities is not just an idea. It is a practical necessity. It is only through community support and collaboration that we can address systemic issues, such as access to education. And it can often be tiring, to be able to not be able to see long-term changes. But the two things that have helped me work through this is trust and perseverance. It has sort of been the guiding principle in this journey of organizing. Advocacy, for me, is not only met with immediate sweeping changes. It requires steadfast commitment to trusting the process, the community, and the efforts we put forth. So as we advocate for education, we must recognize that change, especially on a large scale, takes time and patience. However, showing up and being present and being part of these dialogues and conversations with our community and neighbors matter. So, I've talked about a world where communities support and uplift each other, and I really hope this vision is, grounded and energized by the power of collective action. As you can see, the connection between community organizing, advocacy, and education is profound. It is only through collective action and also through peer perseverance that we can shape a future where education is a universal right, empowering generations to come. So through this conversation, I hope we can commit, to a pathway to a world where education is for everyone, regardless of any circumstance, and that it is inclusive and empowering for all. Being an activist, an organizer is not just about external change. It is an internal commitment, a purpose-driven path. And I hope you can all be able to recognize your organizer within and your activist and your advocate within, and to be able to find an internal commitment to drive positive and meaningful and long-term changes. And thank you for having this conversation with me.
I also, right now, I'm going to open this time for any of you to make any question or comment to one of the panelists that are here with us today. Regrettably, Maria and Yoma are not here to answer questions, but even if there's no question and just a comment that you would like to say, please, the platform is yours.
If I may take the opportunity to share, I think every presenter had such a valuable information to bring. Somewhere we do align that education, compassion, our work, and doing the right thing, and going inside and seeing that what matters to us, because that's healing. And humanity, in different contexts that we come from, there is trauma, some sort, for most of us. The contexts are different, but to the mind and to the soul, the suffering is a suffering. That's how I see that. So to heal ourselves is our utmost responsibility. And so we need to take an effort, either it's just going to a professional or therapy or arts or anything else that pleases us, or sports, whatever that may be. So I just want to bring my conversation back to our young generation and artificial intelligence. I think we need to, as adults, as grown-up adults, we need to educate ourselves and to educate our young people, because as it seems at the surface, the AI is the best thing. It's not the best thing. So the more we understand about it, there are pros and cons of it. When there are pros of it, we utilize them. When there are not, how do we educate ourselves and become conscious consumers? And that's my message. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you for that comment. Yes, technology could be a tool or a weapon. It all depends on the hands and the wisdom and intelligence of the person using it. Now, I would love to ask a question to see you. Why do you think that learning arts, whatever form of arts, make a difference in the development of a person?
Thank you for asking that very important question. I feel like I can speak from my perspective. I think art is different for everybody, and I think that's what's so amazing about it. It's like so unique, and like everyone experiences it in different ways, and like it's a tool, I think, for people to express like their own emotions and share their experiences, and it's very vulnerable. Like, it's hard to create like genuine, authentic art that you're able to share, and it's an emotional experience, and it's hard, but I feel like the education itself, you can like once you learn how to use it as a tool that's going to help you spread a message or spread your own emotions, I feel like it really helps you learn more about yourself. And I think that's what's really important from my perspective, at least, is that once I learned how to authentically use like film, for example, like I'm able to express a message through all my films, have a deeper message inside, and you don't need to necessarily understand it, but like just putting it out there and like learning how to authentically express it, like that, the process in of itself, I think is like life-changing for me. And like it really helps you like just figure out who you are, and like it helps you like learn more about yourself, and others through watching that learn more about themselves. Like I think the most impactful films like out there, like what comes to my mind is like my favorite film ever, Get Out. It's by Jordan Peele. It's like an amazing film. And I feel like watching it yourself, you are able to like feel those emotions that you wouldn't otherwise feel. And so like learning that really helps you just kind of gain that experience. And it's just, I feel like you're able to really express your emotions, and that's very important. You can do it in other ways, but I feel like arts is just, it's a special way to do it.
I love that you said that, and definitely art helps you get to know yourself better. Like myself, I graduated myself as an artist, but art not only shaped me who I am, but let me understand who I was. And that's so important, because I think especially the young generation, we feel so lost and lonely sometimes, and art is a magnificent medium to connect with not only others but ourselves. Now I would love to make a question to Dr. Pallavi. What advice would you give to parents that are raising children, that are new to raising children? What do you think is something all of them need to hear, despite of their background or their situation?
Absolutely, a great question. And as we all know, the child raising is quite different now than what we had it in the back 20 years ago or 50 years ago when I was especially as a child, or when my child were young. I would say for any new parents, there is a full of opportunities, regardless like what your child has it, whether they are normal developing in children or whether the children is with disabilities. There are so many resources. The parents has to take a step, has to take the initiative to look for the resources. There are resources available. It is kind of the things like becomes our own responsibility. If we want to make a change, we have to take a step. So I would say with the parents, like if any parents who feel like raising a child, or in the today's society or today's culture is different, definitely seek for like professional help, or even speak to someone, share your thoughts, share your concerns with your friends or families, and there are resources available. The most important thing is sometimes it happens when the child has some kind of disability or deficits where they need to work on. The acceptance is a big thing. So if you are not going to accept something that you need help, there is no one can help you. So, I would just say like, regardless what you are doing with your child, regardless if the child is a normal typical developing raising child, or the child has a disability or anything, just accept it and take a step forward. There is a professional help available. Speak to your primary care physicians, doctors, family, social services. There is so many resources in this country, and make it use. And that's about it.
No, thank you. I think it's so important because parents are in a huge pressure. They feel like they have the world upon their shoulders, and it's so hard to ask or seek for help. That makes them feel helpless, and it's so hard and difficult to be a parent. And I don't think there's enough information on what resources exist to actually live a better life or have an easier life. So thank you for saying that. We should all do a research in that. And I would just like to make another comment, for example, on what Maria Tran commented on her speech. We don't realize how much the media we consume shapes our minds. And since so many of you today in the panel happen to have worked on the entertainment industry in one way or another, the power of the content we consume, the power of the content our children consume is what it's also shaping their personality, is what they are making them more compassionate or more aggressive, or if what make them more self-aware or make them more ignorant. So I would just like to put that message out there that Maria mentioned, that I think it's so important. We should be so much more self-conscious of what we are consuming. And now I would like to close this conference thanking each one of you speakers that have participated and significantly contribute to this conference, The Future of Education. All of the amazing women that have spoken today are building the future of education in the present, are making that change in the present, and are building an amazing legacy that will make a difference in the world of tomorrow. And we need more of you. That's all I want to say. We need more of you, and hopefully this inspires our audience as much as it inspires me to keep working every day for what is right, and to keep promoting peace, and to keep being the change we want to see in that world. I want to thank once again each one of you. I'm sending you so much love and blessings, and I wish you all a happy, very happy holidays, whatever you celebrate or not. Happy holidays and enjoy this winter break. Thank you, all of you. You can all say bye. That's been all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.